The voting was going on for months. Spearheaded by the Women on 20s campaign, a nominee was announced last week. Women on the 20s is the campaign that has been agitating to have a woman's portrait, the portrait of a great American woman, placed on a $20 bill by at least 2020, the 100th anniversary of the U.S. recognizing a woman's right to vote. The Women on 20s campaign narrowed down their nominees for this honor to 4 women: Wilma Mankiller, a trailblazer and first woman chief of the Cherokees; Rosa Parks, credited with starting the Montgomery bus boycott by not relinquishing her seat and sparking the modern civil rights movement in 1955; Harriet Tubman, an abolitionist born a slave who became one of the most noted conductors on the Underground Railroad; and Eleanor Roosevelt, who redefined the role of First Lady while being a noted civil rights and human rights activist in her own right. More than 600,000 votes were cast in an online poll, and the winner announced with great fanfare last week is Harriet Tubman. And I'm overjoyed that this great American leader was selected. As the author of Put a Woman on a 20 Act of 2015, H.R. 1910, I think matching a specific person with a specific biography will sharpen the focus of this remarkable grassroots effort to put a woman's face on our currency. Now, my legislation does not limit the idea of putting a woman on our money to Harriet Tubman or any particular nominee. It instructs the Secretary of Treasury to convene the citizens panel that will make recommendations and get it done. From my perspective, as we see women breaking barriers at every level of our society, and by the way, as we see people of color breaking barriers at every level of our society, our money ought to more accurately reflect who we are as a nation in the 21st century. I'm not saying that Andrew Jackson or any of the men we honor on our money are not worthy. Many of our founding fathers made important contributions to this country, which we continue to enjoy today in the United States and throughout the world by the spread of democracy. It is also true that part of our history includes the practices and decisions we certainly are not proud of as a nation. Let's be straight. President Jackson was for many a war hero, a great defender of the young American Republic, and really the first president and founder of the Democratic Party. He oversaw our nation as it expanded west. But it is the expansion of this nation, the manifest destiny that pushed settlers west, that pushed the institution of slavery west, and that pushed the extermination and forced migration of native peoples west, that is precisely the nexus of Andrew Jackson and Harriet Tubman, and illustrates why putting a new face on our money makes so much sense. The forced removal of native peoples from their lands so that we could expand the practice of slavery at the heart of Andrew Jackson's legacy. The land grab and the trail of tears of the Cherokee people that is key to contextualizing President Jackson. It was when Harriet Tubman was about 6 years old that Jackson became president. She was born a slave in Maryland and eventually walked to freedom in Pennsylvania. But she went back again and again, at least 19 times, telling more than 300 former slaves how to follow the Big Dipper constellation that pointed to the North Star and the way to freedom in the North. She was an agitator. She was a subversive. She used the tools of social change to improve America. She fought for the little guy against the strong guy, and she was willing to put herself at great risk to ensure the justice for others. And she was a woman, and she was black. In other words, she is an ideal American. The other women honored as nominees by the Women on 20s campaign were also great Americans. They were also subversives, troublemakers, agitators, and therefore exactly the kind of people I think we need on our currency. But Harriet Tubman, because she is a woman of color, because she fought for freedom and for a better America in the face of this nation's greatest, and for many like me, still unresolved, sin of slavery and racism, because she turned the tide of history for the better, she is very, very worthy of this great honor. In a few years, maybe in a few months, we will all wonder why it took so long to put an American woman on our $20 bill. Well, it shouldn't take so long, and members of this body, Mr. Speaker, have the ability to do something about it and speed this process along. Co-sponsor the Put a Woman on a 20 Act of 2015. It's H.R. 1910. Join me in calling on the Secretary of the Treasury to do this, whether it is Harriet Tubman or anyone else that is a fair and open process arrives at. Let us stand as a Congress to put a great American woman on our money.
The gentleman yields back.